Hey, I'm Marcus Philly. I'm the founder of Functional Bodybuilding. And when you're trying to build muscle over 40, you're gonna need a big stimulus in order to generate any type of muscle growth. But because you're over 40, you also need to be thinking about lifting safely so that you don't get injured and knocked out of the game. So today I'm gonna walk you through 5 of my favorite muscle building moves that are gonna allow you to work hard, but also move safely and stay injury-free. I'm gonna give you a few pointers for each of these moves, and then you can put it together in a full workout, which you'll see in the description down below. Now, to get the most out of your workout and to prevent as many injuries as possible, we always start with a warm-up. So before we get to those 5 moves, we're gonna do a warm-up that includes a little bit of biking. We've got box lateral step downs, and then we're gonna be hitting some face pulls with the band or the cable. Now that you've gotten through that warm-up, your body temperature's up, and your shoulders and your hips are feeling a bit loose, now we're gonna dive into the first movement, which is a heels elevated ass to grass front squat. Squatting over 40 is all about full range of motion to maintain health in your joints. And this heels elevated squat position is gonna help you get into a deeper range at the knee, at the hip, and at the ankle. Squatting like this ass to grass is essential for building great joint health and staying injury-free. Not to mention that when you get into that full range of motion, you're getting a deeper stretch on the muscle tissue, which is optimal for muscle growth and strength development. This particular rep scheme is one of my favorites to build up safely to maximal effort. For 1 to 2 warm-up sets and 2 building sets, you're ramping up your weight. For the first 2 working sets, you'll get within 2 to 3 reps shy of failure, but not pushing beyond that. Now for the final set, we are going to reduce the weight that we are working with on the last set by 10 to 15%. This final set is going to feel lighter and easier to control than the previous set. You now are going to take this particular set to failure and remove all pauses from this set. As soon as your form breaks down, your set is over. With a lighter load, you can push towards failure without near the same risk as if you had gone up heavier on your final set. Next up, we're moving on to a single arm tripod row. We're going to be hitting a set on each arm every 75 seconds, alternating from left to right and back and forth. Starting from this point forward in the rest of the workout, there's going to be a lot of grip that's happening. And for grip, I absolutely recommend getting some lifting straps. They're going to aid in helping you get the most out of each exercise, never allowing your grip to be the limiting factor, but instead the target muscles, be it the back, the biceps, the hamstrings, all that we're going to cover in the next 2 movements. We don't want your grip to fail you. I love this for muscle over 40 since the complexity of this lift is very low. Once you do this move properly, which I'll show you a tip for in a minute, you can express great intensity and load this movement very safely. Lifting on the clock like this is a great way to build the intensity that you need to stimulate changes in your muscle. You can lift intensely without necessarily having to lift extremely heavy. Instead, adjusting how much rest you get between sets dials up the intensity and saves some of the wear and tear that heavy loads can have on the joint. Furthermore, timed lifting keeps you efficient and blends in some cardio to your training. I want to highlight the most common mistake that I see in the tripod row, and that is people not getting into a stable foundation for them to really pull with maximal force. They either put their feet too close together, they put their feet right in line with each other so they're wobbling side to side, and what we want to see is a staggered position with this hand firmly on a bench in front of you so that you can get maximum force without feeling unstable, like you're going to lose your balance or you're going to put too much pressure in your low back. So remember, to get the most out of this exercise, make sure your feet are in a stable, strong position, and remember the cue, pull your elbow behind you when you're lifting the dumbbell up towards your side. On the topic of building muscle in your 40s, nothing is more important than protein intake, and this episode is being sponsored by Transparent Labs, where I get my grass-fed whey protein. I'm going to show you right now as we jump into a clip of how to take this protein, which is delicious, all of their flavors are, and put it into a Nija Creami recipe. That is high protein ice cream that is low cal. Check it out. What if I told you this had 40 grams of protein and less than 300 calories? You can have it every single day.
"24 hours later."
So jump down into the description below. There are links there for Transparent Labs to grab your discounted protein with my code Marcus. Now let's get back to building muscle over 40. Okay, the first two exercises we did were considered peak strength intensity movements. They allow you to get after a high degree of force production, lift heavier weights where you're focused on a single exercise. I refer to these sections of training as my strength intensity movements inside of my Persist training programs. Tension in the muscles was the most important characteristic of the exercise to this point. Now you're getting to continue building muscle, back off the intensity just a bit. With these next movements, our goal is to allow our brains to explore a more full range of motion. These movements help correct imbalances and cover joint strength and flexibility too, both of which are critical to keeping our training consistency up. I call this section of training strength balance, where we balance the strength all around your body, hitting up to 7 out of 10 effort as opposed to 8 or 9 out of 10 effort like we did in the first two sections of training. We're gonna superset two movements here, a hinge with the snatch grip Romanian deadlift and a push with the dumbbell incline bench press. The snatch grip RDL is really gonna challenge your hamstrings, but because of the wide grip, it's also gonna challenge your upper back. It's really common for these two areas of your body to feel stiff and weak, especially if you're over 40 and you've been desk-bound for the last decade in your career. As I mentioned, this wider grip on the barbell is going to demand more upper back strength than a narrow grip. As you hinge through this exercise, focus on keeping the shoulder blades back and together through the full range of motion. Additionally, this pronounced hinge at the hip with stiff legs, especially if I'm arching my back, is going to stretch your hamstrings dramatically. So your goal is to focus on getting a big stretch in the back of your legs on every rep without your back rounding at all. As I said before, using lifting straps is essential for a snatch grip RDL because the wide grip is going to make it harder to hold onto the bar. This is going to improve your grip and it's going to make sure you can train that upper back and hamstrings adequately with this exercise. You're going to alternate the snatch grip RDL with an incline dumbbell bench press, and on every set, I want you to adjust the incline, the angle of the bench. The first set's gonna be here at about 45 degrees on the bench. The next set, we're gonna go a little bit lower, 30 degrees, and the last set, about 15 degrees. So each set, you're adjusting the bench by about 10 to 15 degrees to hit a different angle in your shoulder. The incline bench press is one of the best overall strength and muscle builders of the chest, shoulders, and triceps. Selecting a dumbbell is ideal for athletes over 40 looking to keep their shoulders healthy. Adjusting the bench will train 3 different angles of your shoulder. With each new angle, you'll recruit slightly different fibers in your chest. You'll be able to strengthen different joint ranges of motion in your shoulder and broadly cover the full strength characteristics of this area of the body. One thing I love about this format of changing the angle of the bench as you go is that the higher the incline, the more challenging it's going to be. So with each set, as you fatigue, you lower the bench and it becomes more mechanically advantageous. You can continue to lift harder and heavier weights with each set. Now, just like with the snatch grip RDL, we're really emphasizing range of motion. So I want you to pull the dumbbells down as far as you can, puff up your chest, and get a pause on each rep to ensure a deep stretch in your chest. Now we're gonna go ahead and finish off with a few minutes directly on your core. Improving your core strength is gonna help just about everything when it comes to being strong and staying injury-free. But let's face it, sometimes it's just satisfying to finish a workout with some core, feel like your six-pack is on its way. We can't underestimate the importance of confidence in the way we look and feel when it comes to training, because that's what's gonna make you come back time and time again and be consistent. So today we're going with the hanging leg raise, and we're going to do it in 3 ways to cover the entire midsection as well as work in some isometric strength. You'll start with the cross-body leg raise for 5 reps per side, then move to a traditional leg raise for 5 more reps. And finally, you'll finish with an isometric tucked L-sit for 10 to 15 seconds at the end. I like performing this hanging leg complex with straight arms on a straight bar because it helps me get a stretch in my shoulders, and improve my grip strength, both of which are super important for keeping my shoulders healthy and my upper back strong. Now, if your grip feels like it's limiting you, remember those straps that I've talked about now twice in this video, use them, or alternatively, you can pull out some ab slings, which are a great alternative. You rest your upper arm in there, and then grip becomes less of a factor, and you can focus on the core strength and the abdominal work that we're doing in this exercise. As you're performing this complex, make sure at the bottom of each rep, you're gonna get an extra stretch and a pause. That's gonna make sure that you're training your lower abdominals and hip flexors more deeply, which is gonna add to your look and your hip strength. So that's a wrap on today's workout. Check the details in the description below and go give it a try. And you can find much more like this in my Persist training program. Next up, check out this pump condition workout. That is a great example of how to combine lifting and conditioning in the same session.